In 1945, the United States possessed unparalleled industrial and military might. They had won the war, but looking out over the rubble of Europe, Washington realized they had a massive blind spot. The Soviet Red Army occupied half the continent, and the U.S. government knew almost nothing about Stalin's actual plans. President Harry Truman recognized that raw firepower was virtually useless if you didn't know where the enemy was or what they were doing. The country desperately needed a permanent peacetime intelligence service to see into the shadows. The solution was the Central Intelligence Agency, established in 1947. The legislation creating it was incredibly vague, giving the new agency a mandate to gather intelligence, run covert operations, and interfere in the affairs of other nations, all while answering directly to the president, completely bypassing Congress and the public. You now had an organization with nearly unlimited operational freedom across the globe, staffed entirely by amateurs. They were stepping onto a world stage already dominated by deeply entrenched, highly disciplined rivals. To understand how they paid for this, we have to look at this diagram mapping the Marshall Plan. Officially, the U.S. poured over $13 billion into European recovery, but hidden in the fine print, 5% of those funds, about $685 million, was quietly diverted into a locked box. This was the birth of the CIA's black budget. The agency quickly put that money to work. In one early mission, the CIA trained a team of Ukrainian operatives and parachuted them behind Soviet lines. The drop was doomed before the plane even took off. The Soviet KGB's human intelligence network was so thorough that the CIA mission's key handler was actually a Soviet informant. He fed every operational detail straight to Moscow. Within days, every dropped operative was either captured or killed. Internal reports concluded the agency was fatally penetrated. The humiliating string of failures forced a harsh realization inside Langley. The United States could not beat the KGB at the traditional game of deep-cover human espionage. They needed an entirely different approach. The first pivot was abandoning subtle spycraft in favor of raw financial force. In 1953, Iran's Prime Minister, Mohammad Mossadegh, nationalized his country's oil, cutting off British control. London asked Washington for help, and the CIA authorized an operation to remove him. The agency opted for a direct financial siege. A CIA officer slipped into Tehran with over $1 million in untraceable black budget cash, using it to bribe parliamentarians, pay newspaper editors to print smears, and even hire local mobs to stage violent riots in the streets. Mossadegh was captured by military officers loyal to the Shah. The operation proved that you didn't need a flawless network of spies to take down a foreign democracy. You just needed to throw enough unaccountable cash at the right corrupt officials. While cash bought influence, it couldn't map Soviet nuclear sites. For that, the CIA turned to the one arena where the United States held an absolute advantage over Moscow: private sector aerospace engineering. Partnering with the Air Force and Lockheed Skunk Works, the agency developed the U-2. It was a massive leap over human informants, a machine designed to bypass the KGB entirely by flying right over them. The U-2 cruised in the stratosphere at 70,000 feet, well beyond the reach of Soviet radar, fighter jets, or anti-aircraft missiles. From 13 miles up, its belly-mounted cameras could photograph objects as small as 2 feet wide, capturing hard proof of Soviet troop movements and supply lines. The aircraft delivered unassailable intelligence without risking a single ground operative's cover.
This hardware triumph addicted the CIA to technological solutions, shifting their internal culture from a network of traditional spies to managers of cutting-edge machines. By the 1980s, the agency's operational appetite outgrew its official funding. Congress had explicitly banned the U.S. from funding the Contras, a rebel army fighting the leftist government in Nicaragua. The CIA needed massive, off-the-books capital to keep their proxy wars alive. The solution was the Iran-Contra arrangement. The CIA helped facilitate the sale of advanced missiles to Iran at heavily inflated prices. The profits were then quietly routed down to Central America to arm the Contras. Moving this kind of dirty money required infrastructure. The CIA leaned heavily on the Bank of Credit and Commerce International. Operating through a maze of shell companies, BCCI allowed the agency to launder billions. hiding informant payouts and black market arms deals in the exact same ledgers used by global drug cartels and dictators. When international regulators finally shut down the bank, the ensuing scandal laid bare the ethical collapse inside the agency. Operating for decades with an unmonitored black budget inevitably pushed American intelligence into the realm of global organized crime. The landscape shifted completely after September 11, 2001. The CIA was no longer fighting a massive state apparatus like the Soviet Union. They faced a borderless, decentralized enemy that hid in remote mountain caves and crowded urban populations. Their response was the Predator drone. It took the high-altitude surveillance concept of the U-2 and armed it. An operator sitting in Nevada could loiter over a target in Pakistan for 24 hours, confirm a license plate, and execute an assassination without a single American setting foot in the country. But the drones created a new bottleneck. The agency was hoovering up endless streams of intercepted phone calls, travel logs, and live video feeds. It was too much noise. They had mountains of data, but no human capacity to connect them together. To solve this, they turned to Palantir, deploying AI algorithms that instantly wove the chaos into a single living map. Founded by Alex Karp and Peter Thiel, Palantir gave the CIA the software required to spot patterns invisible to the human eye. Terrorist cells and safe houses were suddenly exposed in hours rather than months. The modern agency had become a hyper-efficient, data-guzzling machine. The battlefield was no longer physical geography, it was information, and the CIA was building an automated apparatus to predict and eliminate threats before they ever materialized. The CIA of 1947, with its amateur spies dropping blind into foreign forests, is unrecognizable today. It operates with a $1 trillion classified defense framework, pouring billions into cyber warfare, AI analysis, and advanced surveillance. The focus is rapidly shifting away from counterterrorism. Today, Washington faces a near-peer technological competitor in China, a rival leading in hypersonic weapons, quantum communications, and massive digital surveillance. But relying on machine learning to outmaneuver an adversary creates a uniquely modern vulnerability. Complex, highly integrated algorithmic systems are exceptionally fragile. If an opponent feeds poison data into the network, the machine will confidently execute a flawed conclusion at lightning speed. The CIA has spent decades attempting to automate away the inherent danger and high failure rate of human intelligence. But that automation has traded one kind of risk for another: speed. In a digital standoff with a pure power, a single algorithmic error in a targeting feed could launch a kinetic strike before a human analyst has the chance to intervene, turning a data glitch into a hot war.